What we have here today is a golden Buzzaround XL. Looks like about a 2004 vintage. And what was happening was a beep code where we got, I think it was 9 beeps. They wouldn't move. And so I found out that 9 beeps is a motor failure. So I took a look at the motor here, and the motor is, I just cleaned off big globs of the grease off the motor rotary here, but one person noted that for some reason the gearbox squeezes its grease out through a seal here, and it squeezes past here. That's the plate that attaches to the transmission. Inside here is just huge globs of grease. Even on the bolts that hold the motor case together is globbed up with grease. And this is the brushes on it. It looks not too bad, but I just took a huge glob of grease off of this. Cleaning off the globs of grease in this motor casing and the armature. Big globs of grease around there, just using some brake clean, and just using the good blast of brake parts cleaner and get that grease off of there and clean her up. Goo left in there, but I pulled the brushes back so I could pop this top cap section back in, just pull back on the copper leads to the brushes, and it do a little bit of wiggling and it got it back in there. Can put this thing back on. Little warpy thrust washer back between the bearing that's in there and this top plate, and then put this drive hex head thing back on. It's held on with like a 1.5 or 2 millimeter hex, so now it won't pop apart because we got that on there. You can drop it into the permanent magnet stator thing here. Probably want to put itself in there. Get it around here. There, probably like this. And we'll get these screwed back on there. So I did some a little bit of tapping on this end and twisting and turning, and got these screws that go from one end to the other end there, and give it a twirl, and it turns okay. Now we gotta put on this clutch assembly thing here. Clutch and brake sensor. Put this brake clutch thing back to where it was before, and put this dust cap back on, and get a zip tie to wrap around there to kind of hold it on like it was before. And we'll see what we can do over here with this thing. It turns so stiffly. We'll check pop off this differential cover and see what's going on in there. Just for amusement, I took the differential cover off to see what's going on in there, and it's just a thin layer of grease on everything. It should be adequate, and the cover has big old globs of grease on it yet. Probably plenty more to get sucked into the motor eventually, but it seemed to have taken quite a few years to happen. Okay, we got this motor assembly put back onto the transaxle thing, so we're going to give it a little test here. This is a 24 volt motor axle thing, so we're going to give it a little test here. This is a 24 volt motor, but we should be able to kick it over with 12 volts. Okay, we got a thick black and red conductor going into the motor, and then the sensor there is a blue and orange wire, which we don't want to put any juice across. Let's see if we can get any juice in there. So it's working okay on 12 volts. Try the other way around, backing up. Seems to run nice and smooth and everything.